Hey, I'm Meggie Kay, and over the last couple years, I have really gotten into skincare. Like, I am really into skincare now. And through this process of actually taking care of my skin, I've come to realize that my skin is drastically different depending on what country I live in. So I was trying to think of reasons why this might happen, and basically it comes down to two things. That is climate and diet. These are two things that will affect your skin as well as two things that change depending on what country you're in. So, I am going to share with you the story of my skin around the world. Canada, my home country, and therefore the baseline of my skin, because this is what I grew up with, this is how it's always been, this is what I view as normal for me, even though it might not be good or the best. It's what I view as normal, and everything kind of spawns off of this. So, my skin in Canada, what is it like? Dry. My skin is actually really dry, and I can flake it off sometimes. I'll wake up and I'll rub my forehead and I just see skin flakes fall. So my skin is very dry. I've never really had acne problems. Even as a teenager, I wouldn't have more than 3 or 4 pimples at any one time, and it's like that now too. I don't really experience much acne. Yeah. Just 1 or 2 here and there, nothing that I've really been concerned with. It wasn't a major issue for me. I have had major issues though it doesn't happen a lot on my face. It's more of body skin issues. I have eczema. Awesome eczema. Actually, I have a flare-up right now. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, it's half healed over, but I have eczema on my arm. I actually do have it on my jaw and down my neck a bit right now too, so timing of this video is really opportune. I can actually show that. Now eczema kind of comes and goes. There's flare-ups and then my skin will be really good for a while and it'll come back. And it's kind of always been like that. As far as I can remember, I remember being 5 years old and having it on my stomach. And it was really itchy and I hated it, and even today it's really itchy and I hate it. But that's been my biggest skin concern, is that like I said, I never really had issues with acne that bad, and I have really dry skin, so that's the skin that I was used to and I grew up with, and then I moved abroad and things changed. So my first time moving abroad, or at least the first time I can really remember and register these kind of things, I was 17, almost 18, and I moved to Germany. Now my skin in Germany caused me so many issues. I still had some flare-ups of eczema, that didn't go away, but I got issues with acne. My skin just exploded with acne. In Canada, when I would get random pimples, they would either be around my eyebrows, right here between my eyebrows, which I'm thinking is because I tweeze my eyebrows every other day, which probably not super awesome for skin to have trauma like that being plucked constantly. But it was either here or maybe around my nose or around my mouth. It was here to here. I would never have anything on my forehead or on my cheeks. Now when I moved to Germany, my cheeks exploded. All of my acne was right here, and it wasn't the little pimples I was used to. They were big and painful, and they lasted for months and wouldn't go away, and oh, it was so depressing. It's I'm 18 and it's you think of, acne as a 14 thing and starting puberty, and I'm I am almost out of puberty at 18 and I shouldn't be getting acne right now. But the reason why I think that happened to my skin and why my skin changed this way was, like I said, there's two things. Climate was kind of the same. It wasn't a huge change in climate, but my diet changed completely. the German diet, or at least the German diet that I was living on, was a lot of one, German bread, which by the way I don't like, which is blasphemy to like every German I know, but I don't like German bread. It's a very dense kind of bread, it's a very heavy bread, and there was also a lot of like processed meat and cheese, things that in Canada I wouldn't really eat much of. So I feel like that change and that kind of food just kind of made my skin really not happy. And therefore I had a lot of acne, and when I came back to Canada after my time in Germany, it cleared up. And my skin went back to how I was used to it being. And so yeah, I'm thinking it was the diet with that one. So moving to Singapore might have been the best thing I ever did for my skin. I had magically beautiful, awesome, amazing skin when I lived in Singapore. I didn't have any acne, I didn't have any eczema, all of my flaky, dead dryness went away. I had like the skin I always wish I had. So while my diet did change in Singapore from a lot of like wheat and pasta and stuff like that to more rice, I ate a lot of rice and meat. Basically it was just rice and meat. I think that the climate had more to do with how my skin changed in Singapore over the diet. I mean, yeah, the diet did affect it, but I feel the climate was more prominent. So Singapore has a very hot, very humid climate. It's tropical, and I think that kind of weather and that kind of climate was really good for dry skin. Like my dry, flaky skin went away just because of the extra moisture in the air and the fact that I'm like almost like constantly just have this light layer of sweat. It just like cleared up all of my skin problems. I am like amazed by it. Part of me always wanted to like move back to somewhere really tropical and somewhere that has a lot of humidity, because my skin was so magically amazing when I was living in Singapore. I want it back. And even though it was so hot and humid that like I physically couldn't put on makeup, which I thought was kind of annoying, I also really didn't need it because like I didn't have any blemishes to cover up. And I was like, I don't need makeup. It's okay that it melts off my face before I get it on. Cool. But yeah, so Singapore was a magical place when it comes to my skin. So finally we are at New Zealand, which is the last country I have lived in, and in New Zealand the climate and the diet are not drastically different from what I'm used to in Canada, unlike Germany where the diet was very, very different, and Singapore where the climate was very, very different. The thing about New Zealand is that they don't really have an ozone layer, and the sun is way stronger than anywhere else I've lived ever before. The sun is intense there. And despite my ghostly complexion I currently have, I actually tan very quickly and I really don't burn ever. I have burned 3 times in my entire life, and all of those times I was burned, I was snorkeling. And I was like middle of the afternoon and I am like this far under the water, and of course I'm not wearing sunscreen. So yeah, I was getting burned on my back, and that was it. Nothing ever besides that really happened. I don't remember getting burned any other time. All of those times when I'm just like lounging around a beach in Southeast Asia when I was living in Singapore, yeah, I never wore sunscreen. If I did, it was like minimal, and it was more of like tanning sunscreen because I wanted to get a tan. So I was just looking for things to accelerate my tan, not actually protect it. But in New Zealand, walking around without sunscreen was not something you should do. Now, like I said, I'm not someone who burns very easily, but I would be like walking around town and I ran into a friend I hadn't seen in a while, and we stopped and got coffee out on a patio and just kind of caught up for an hour or two. So the next day I realized like there was a little pink triangle like on my ankle, and I realized that it's the exact spot between the bottom of my jeans and the top of my shoe, and it was exposed to the sun during that like 2-hour coffee chat, and it was pink. Now it wasn't like red, it wasn't sore, it didn't feel like a burn, but it was pink. And pink is a color my skin does not turn. And so I realized that, yeah, I should probably wear sunscreen. It might be a good thing for me to do. And also, when I was in New Zealand, I finally was getting to the age in like my mid-20s, I should probably just take care of my skin so I don't look like a wrinkled old hag by the time I'm 35. So, New Zealand taught me to not only wear sunscreen, but just generally take care of my skin, and kind of spawned this whole skincare thing I'm really into now. So yeah, that is the story of my skin around the world and how it has changed depending on the different countries I'm in. So let me know if you've noticed drastic changes like this in your skin as you travel. Where was your skin the best? Like for me, Southeast Asia and my skin are like besties, and they should like hang out again soon. I should just go back to Southeast Asia, really. Really, I just need to go back to Asia. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for more travel-y video stuff and things, and bye. Hey, I'm Meggie Kay, and today I'm gonna talk about culture shock. Now, given the fact that I have lived abroad 4 times, stupid eczema.